All right. Hey, let's do the thing. Hold on. Let me open up this window. It's cold this morning. I left the heater on in here a little bit too long. Now it's toasty like a cracker in here. Boy, get some air. All right. How's everybody doing this morning, this afternoon, this evening, whatever the hell time it is? Let's see what we got here. Let me scroll up. Hey, you doing, Fossey? Yeah, Bennett and Kulikov are back. Very good. Robert wants to know if Tampa and Toronto somehow end up at a tie at 104 points. Who has the tiebreaker? I think it's Toronto. Robert. How you doing, David? Yeah, exactly, David. And even then, I would just not even worry about it, because all Tampa really needs to do is get, even if we beat them, they only need to get 1 point in their last game to be able to clinch home ice. So I don't think we should go all out in that game. Hey, Steven. Jameson. Yeah, the Sabres the Sabres quit about midway through the Panthers game, and that was it. Hey, David. Barkov and Reinhart back too, so they're going to play the whole team tonight. That's interesting. I mean, we're going to have plenty of time off before the playoffs. No, that's okay, David. I get it. No Mikula, though. All right, good. That's let him sit. I wonder if Sam Iskevich is going to get a night off, but I guess he wouldn't need it, right? I guess he wouldn't need it. How you doing, Marro, man? Kenneth, you need one more point to clinch the Sens. Yeah, it's getting close. Vincent says, so what was that, taxes? Man, it took me a few hours last night and another few hours this morning. Don't ask, man. Luckily, the IRS makes payment arrangements. We'll put it that way. I spent some time getting things the best I could. Oh, Marlboro Man says per the lineup, Marshy and Samo out. Okay, that's good. So maybe he will get some rest. So that's good. They're doing it right. Good. Yeah, the Flames might sneak in, Strafossi. I know, right? Robert, yeah. It's not pleasant. It's not pleasant. It is what it is. So that's good. Mackey and Marchand got the night off. Mackey's earned a night off, that's for sure. Right? And we need his fresh legs. That's a good question, Safasi. I don't know. Everybody else has looked at the lineups. I was looking at taxes. Trey, so if you hadn't have dropped Mackey, you would have lost by 12. Oh, man. Dang it. So how bad did you lose? How bad did you lose? Or did you end up winning? Very curious, Trey. Glenn, you had a calm before the storm. No doubt. I'm just ready for the schedules to come out. So you lost by 20, maybe 21. Gotcha, Trey. Well, you had a good run. At least you didn't cost yourself by dropping Mackey. That would have sucked, right? So Bob is in. So that's interesting. So we're going to put our guys in against the Rangers tonight, and then I would assume sit them against Tampa tomorrow, right? There's really no reason to go all out tomorrow, I would assume, right? Because all Tampa has to do We're 2 points behind, right? Same number of games played. So even if we get 2 points, if we get 2 points against the Rangers and beat the Lightning, we'll have 102 points, and the Lightning would still have 1 game left to play. And at that point, they would have to beat the Rangers in their final game, and we would be tied, but the Lightning have the tiebreaker. So, yeah, I don't know what Maurice is gonna do. Yeah, it's good. Kulikov's coming back. I wanted to see him on the ice a little bit. Tracy says none of my streams worked out. Habs never played Demidov despite saying they were. Blackwood went 0-2. Flower won his start, but you don't get many points when you give up 7. Meanwhile, guy, you were playing, got the Jackets goalie that beat the hell out of the Caps all weekend. Oh, geez. Of course. I would, Paragon says maybe they're going to see how the B team goes against the Lightning. Would make sense. Shafasi, I would agree with you about Megna over Balinskis, but I don't know if Maurice. I was thinking that was a possibility, and then in the last game, Maurice put Balinskis with Forsling up top, and Forsling had the assist on that shot that Puljujarvi put in. And now I wonder if Maurice won't leave him there. I don't know. With Kulikov back, I just don't know what Maurice is going to do. He's tried so many different combinations. So Kenny says that one missing point, the Habs tying game in the final seconds, going to cost home ice. You know, that's a good point, Kenneth. Kenneth makes a really good point. Was it even the final? Was it like 8 seconds left? Well, what? I mean, it was, yeah. That one missing point could be the difference in home ice. I hadn't thought about it that way, but you're right. Braga, no, there's no cap in the playoffs. There's no cap in the playoffs. I don't even know. The roster expands. I don't think it's unlimited, but there's no cap is there's no cap in the playoffs. So E2 and Lundell are out too. All right, so that whole line is out. That's good. Frosty Balinskis is with Forsing again tonight. That's what he's going to do. He's going to, well, with Mikkola out, but still, if Balinskis plays well again, don't be surprised if that's the way Maurice starts those 2 games with Ekblad out. That's what I was going to ask Kachukin if there was any Chucky news. Steven says tons of missed points cost us. How about never beating Montreal all season? That's true, right? Glenn, when I dressed Gadjevich in the first round for fights, it's so hard to figure out that 4th line. If Chucky is back, Barkov, Reinhart, Verhaeghe, Bennett, Kachuk, Samoskevich, Lundell, Luostarinen, Marchand, Sturm. You really don't want to take Greer off the ice. So now what about Bohlquist? What about Rodriguez? Right? Who you take? I mean, you're taking guys off the ice. It's a good problem to have. But I just don't know what Maurice is going to do. I think he's going to play it by situation. With Ekblad out, he might choose to go a little bit more defensive heavy on that line. But how do you take Rodriguez out of the lineup, right? Shafashi says Chucky is good to go. You heard it on the Joe Rose show this morning. All right. Very good. Coach is on the radio saying he's close to return, like it's not a question of weeks. Okay. Kachuk, and it'll either be Saturday or Sunday. I think it might be Saturday because of the four teams in the Atlantic, the top four, Panthers are the only team that stops on the 15th. Everybody else plays on the 17th. So by that calculation, I would think that they would start Lightning and Panthers first and then have the second game the next day be Toronto and Ottawa. Because at least that would it would make no sense to give Florida the extra day of rest when Toronto and Ottawa both play on the 17th. Michael says, not worried about getting beat by Montreal. Statistics dictated Montreal, Buffalo, and Ottawa had to have good years against us. Yeah, I wouldn't be overly worried about any of the head-to-head matchups during the regular season. Honestly, we've seen it before. I mean, Boston beat us every time last year, right? Glenn says the groin isn't healed, but for game 2 it will be. You and I are speaking the same language, Glenn, right? We're speaking the same language there, no doubt. David says, I saw Chucky at Publix. He was getting a nail sandwich with a side of nasty almost ready. Steven says, if you believe in goal differential, we literally couldn't have drawn a worse first-round match. Yeah. Well, I don't know. I guess maybe it's better than Montreal, right? No, for way the Panthers have been playing and everything, Tampa was easily the worst first-round matchup we could have had. But we did it to ourselves. Michael says, Balinskis is going to be the best option until Ekblad comes back. Then we have the best D-line in the league. Since our scheme is defense first, we'll look better than last year by game 3. At this point, as long as Balinskis is not going to give the puck away, then okay. I mean, he's got the physical ability. Schmidt might be a tad too slow. I would have preferred Kulikov there, but maybe that's, he did that before. I know Maurice put Kulikov in that spot, I think, when Ekblad was out before. And he says part of the goal differential could be Tampa getting second end of back-to-back games. Bingo, bingo, bingo. Yes, Nate, 100%. We've talked about that before. I mean, in Tampa's last 3 or 4 games alone. Hold on a second. I dropped something I can't lose. I think Tampa's last, let's see. Their most recent, previously, their last 3 games against the Maple Leafs, against the Red Wings, and against the Sabres were all teams that they played on the second end of a back-to-back after Florida played them. Interesting enough, they beat the Lightning 4-3. The Wings beat them 4-3. And then they destroyed the Sabres 7-4. But, the goaltending, Vasilevsky hasn't been spectacular, even though they're winning games. And I'm not saying he's been bad. Yesterday was Johansson. Boy, you think we're screwed if something happens to our goalie. What about the Wings? Was that Vasilevsky? Yeah, 4 goals on 26 shots, 846 save percentage. And when I say he's not been fantastic, I just mean the last few times I've seen him, he's still giving up. He's not as good right now as he was earlier in the season, or in the middle of the season anyway. Vincent says, my God, just try to score another goal. This 2-1 thing is a horror show every night. It ain't easy. It ain't easy. Michael, I don't know if the word is worried about Tampa. There's two things with Tampa. There's Vasilevsky, and there's the extra physicality that usually comes with the Florida Tampa series. And I feel like Tampa this year is going to be especially rough with us because they're going to want to test guys out. How healed is Barkov? How healed is Bennett? How healed is Tkachuk? Etc. Yeah, the Tampa games before and after they play us. Right. You're both still having Bob's nightmares. Michael says they shut out a team and score a lot of points, then get shut out by us, then run up the score in the next game. Right. Yeah, I wouldn't surprise if they sat Cooch. Prowagan, yeah. I'm reading Silva's That's interesting. Connor says Paul Bissonnette said the Panthers will beat Tampa for sure. That's interesting. So Silva, you're thinking we could play Vegas in the Stanley Cup final. That's not a team I'm interested in playing. We don't have a good history against them. Kenneth says, I'm going to the Golden Knights playoff games. Gotcha, Kenneth. Okay. All right. Appreciate you, bud. Jameson says, it's not Vasi that scares me this year. It's Cooch and Gensel. Yeah, Gensel's going to be, there's just only so many guys. We got to stay out of the box. We're just going to continue to say that. Stay out of the box. You can't get anybody pregnant if you stay out of the box. Yeah, Nate, 2 players from the Cup years. Yeah, Yanni, Gord, and McDonough. Gord's going to be a problem. Did Tampa lose Borgstrand as well? Out indefinitely. Yikes. Hey, Heather. How you doing, Coop? Yeah, the regular season Bork has worked. Marlboro Man says the boys haven't gotten a get back from when Cooch stuck the knee out. It's interesting. That's the game that Kyle and I were at. That's the second game we were at. We got shut out. Kyle and I went to 2 games and we one goal. One goal. And the Barkov over. That was the Barkov night. The Barkov overtime night. Michael says, where's all the Bournefoot fans in the chat? You would have thought he was the captain of the team the way people loved him. It was every 5 minutes or so he was good. It's the other 4 minutes. Hey, Ryan. Yeah, with Kuchai, when you lose, it's simple, right? Flames, yeah, man. You guys are there. I hate to be a Blues fan if they blow it, but you guys are coming right down to the end there. Jason. I was wondering if everybody caught that. That is one foolproof way to do it, Jason. That is for sure. David, you think Cats Avs this year? There's a lot of good teams in the West, I'll tell you. I don't think the Rangers care right now. I mean, I guess if Shesterkin is in, they might be, but I mean, would they? There's really only so much motivation they're going to have, right? Like, oh, we're going to stop the Panthers from having home ice. It's like that's not a big motivation. Mike says the chat piled on you when I said he wasn't good enough. Now they're all ghosts. He was. I think we just kind of wanted him to be good enough, Michael, because it, kind of how Zito found Forsling. Now everybody we get off the waiver wire, we hope turns into Gustav Forsling. Kind of the opposite of PTSD, right? Craig says Bournefoot was okay, but way too soft in the crease. Yes. Silva says, I think we should get ready for some rough games against Tampa. We can definitely win the series, but if there's one thing Tampa is good at, it's ending teams. They'll run the score up at least once. That's a good point, Silva. Hey, Ari. That's right. The Jets have the President's Trophy curse. I think they're going to win the first round. Of course, I don't think Deadly Flames wants to hear that. That would be the funniest thing ever if Calgary actually made it and then beat the Jets. If the Jets lose to the Flames, I mean, just tear it down and do a rebuild. You can't have the President's Trophy and then just lose to an 8 seed that just got in, or you turn into Boston. You see how that worked out for them. You want to see Huberdeau make the playoffs? They're getting close. Ryan, they can kind of ruin home ice. Sure, if they beat us tonight and then let Tampa win, that they can do. I honestly am not fighting for home ice. The more I've thought about it, the fact that Ekblad is out those first 2 games, I think it would actually just be, at this point, start on the road. Just do everything you can to just split on the road. I don't care if we lose one of the games 10-1. If we can win one of them 2-1, you split on the road, you get home, you get Ekblad back, and you go from there. Stay out of the penalty box. Michael says Bournefoot turnovers directly lead to goals. So much other teams were targeting his huge puck handling weakness. Kind of like they attack Ekblad when he has the puck behind the net. Connor. Michael, yeah, once you gave me his numbers, it's just like I wanted him to be okay. The first game he came up, he looked decent. The first game of this most latest run. And then just from there, it just got bad. And it sucks because, he's got the physical talent, but I always wonder how these kids get drafted in the first round and how how guys end up being busts. I says, you think the Jets get swept? Hell, it choked. Capitals are going to have all they can handle with Montreal. So or you could turn into Tampa. That's 2. Trey says Kyle Connor is missing a breakaway in Game 5. Jameson, good point. Says kind of want the Flames to get in because that would mean Vancouver would be the only Canadian team to miss the playoffs. Oof. Rough. Bark, bark, bark. Kachuk and home ice doesn't really matter. I mean, it mattered last year, Game 7, right? It mattered last year, Game 7. I'm trying to think of what else it really helped us. Let me think about that for a second. I mean, I guess when we got down, no, we had home ice. No, we didn't have home ice against the Rangers. So I guess it helped when we were down 2-1 that we had home ice in game 4. But it's not like football where it really, really matters a lot. Kenneth says Tampa lost to 8 seed Columbus that just got in and then went to 3 cups. That's a good point. Yeah, that is a good point. Good one, Bolar. Yeah, exactly, Kachuk. And with Ekblad out, just win one on the road and you're golden. Michael, it's like a 20-minute flight, right? Yeah. That's how long it used to take me to get from Fort Lauderdale Airport to the Princess Casinos in the Bahamas. It was like a 22-minute flight. And you gambled on the flight. No, what do you mean we do splits in the middle of the road? What did I miss? Shafash, you think Jones might be worse than Ekblad behind the net? I don't know. I mean, it's their game is so similar. We extended Ekblad already. We did. His name is just Jones now. I mean, it's literally what we did. We traded Spencer Knight to extend Ekblad. I mean, it just is what it is. Yeah, Glenn says 2 teams in the East have been trying to match the Panthers' defense, Toronto and Tampa, but they didn't hire Zito to do it. Yeah, and look, I mean, I always say this, I give Zito all the credit in the world, but when a player like Matthew Tkachuk raises his hand and says, I want to be traded to Florida, not saying it made his job easier, but without that trade, Huberdeau and Uyghur we're not, I don't think we were winning that cup. Trey says 2 Ekblads, wonderful. Pretty much. Hey, JC. Brandon, what's my pick for a score tonight? Probably 5-3 Rangers. Why do I think they're going to get 5? 2 empty nets. We'll do one of those crazy games. Yeah. So we're losing 3-2 and we empty the net. And they get an empty netter and they make it 4-2. And then we get a goal, it makes it 4-3. So we empty the net again and they get another empty netter and we lose 5-3. That's pretty specific, but what the hell? We're just making stuff up anyway. What was I doing in the Bahamas, Vincent? You know what I was doing. Read the book, right? You read the book. I was busy robbing casinos. That's the best part about that story. Because I can tell the story about how me and Brother Gene robbed a casino of $250,000, and it's true. We gave it back. But we took it. Henderson says, I think Spencer needed to change the scenery. Hope he gets his mental health sorted. Sucks she had to get rid of him. He needed to play. He was never going to get a chance here. Bob's going to extend, as far as what we've heard. Bob is likely to extend for another couple of years. I don't know it's going to be at $10 million. But the point is, Spencer was just never going to get – there was no light at the end of the tunnel for him to get a chance to really be the starter here. Michael says, the only Canadian team I was worried about were the Canucks, and they ain't making it, so you feel like you're good. Yeah, he's like literally all of the good and all of the bad. The same exact player. Trey is exactly right. Silva says, if Ekblad resigns at a significant pay cut, or if Zito signs a great offensive D in Ekblad's place, that night trade will look great. Agreed. It'll be weird. I just wonder if they'll keep Ekblad with Forsling. Like, it'll be weird having Ekblad making $4 million on the top pair and Jones making $7 million on the second pair. Glenn says the Lightning defense has 3 older guys as well. Well, let's see. What do we have? We've got, Kulikov is 32. Schmidt is 32, 33, I think, something like that. Ekblad is his body is 35. Anybody else that we have that's older? How old is Jones? 29? Hey, Fireborn. Eyes. No Trocheck tonight. David, if Ovi loses his mind, but that what he's been doing, what Ovechkin has been doing to get those goals this year, all due respect, I don't know that that's sustainable in the playoffs, because he's been taking advantage of the rush and finding that open seam. And in the playoffs, as we know very well from the President's Trophy days, if your offense is dependent upon the rush and speed in the playoffs, it could be a problem. And Ovi has been taking advantage of the Capitals' speed and their rush offense and just kind of finding that open spot. And I just don't think he's going to be so open like that come playoff time. Okay, you say a 3-1 regulation for Florida? Well, I hope so. Oh, you're going to tonight's game, Ryan? Have fun. Yeah, exactly, Michael. Rays fan says 8 by 775 for Eki. Give him at least 850. Come on, Braves. Right? How much did actually this? His wife's a doctor. So I think for Ekblad's mental health, how much does his wife make? Let's make sure he makes like $500,000 more than she does, and that's the contract. How about that? Hey, Eric. Michael says, hold on, let's look at how spoiled we are. Ekblad is back compared to the top 5 elite D-men, but he's still way better than most of the D-men in the league. Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. We just give him a lot of grief, because he's got me blocked. And I figure at some point, eventually, if we give him enough grief, maybe he'll make an appearance and defend himself. No Herman, McDonough, or Chernak. Yeah, his body is 32 on a good day. Deli Flame says, I'm not looking forward to playing the Golden Knights or the Kings. And those are the 2 games you need to win. Yeah, but do either one of those teams need points? That's where you kind of lucked out. I don't think the Knights or Kings, the Kings don't need points to finish off Edmonton, do they? Oh, they do. They have to win they still need to win a game to make sure they've got home ice. So is that who you guys play next? You play the Knights tonight. Now, the Knights aren't going to need any points. Now, maybe by the time you play the Kings, they won't need any points and they can rest guys. So what you got to do is hope for Edmonton to lose. Who does Edmonton play? Oh, the Kings. Oh, crap. So that works perfect. If the Kings win that game, then Calgary will not have to face a Kings team that needs points. It's a good point, Vincent, about his hair. Yeah. Michael says, I know why the chat was high on Bournefoot. We're all used to the average D-man. By that logic, Bournefoot is great. Yeah, Tampa got a touchdown last night, right? Yeah, I just need 4 more Ekblads. If we keep Nate Schmidt around long enough, he'll turn into a third one. JC, we're probably going to be playing the Sabres, but it might be the Penguins. Yeah, you have to score a touchdown pretty much every time Johansson plays. I can't believe that guy still has a job. Him and Andrew Burnett. I don't know how they keeping a job. Parag, and you heard Bennett wants $7 million. I give him 7 by 5. I'll give him 7 by 5 to keep the core together. That's our window. 3 years. 5 could be pushing it, but certainly, you got to pay the tax man. I certainly would not want to lose him over the difference between wanting to give him 6 or giving him 7. If he wants 7, why is it not done already? That scares me about what they're trying to pay Ekblad. Yeah, Robert, that's my only concern. Hey, Lightning, do you want Ekblad? Are you guys going to try to sign Ekblad away in the summer? Connor says, even though Ovi had 15 goals in 2018, Kuznetsov was the true MVP of those playoffs, the main cogwheel in their attacks engine. I remember that. David says, they're both elite D-man that occasionally brain fart at the absolute worst time. I just want to know why Ekblad has such a hard time handling the puck behind the net. That's all I want to know. Everything else I can excuse by injuries and he can't skate all that great and all of that. Fine. But why does it look like he panics if he gets pressured with the puck behind the net? Like if he could just fix that one thing, I might stop bitching for 5 minutes. Maybe. Ryan, you might be right, but St. Louis might still blow it. Did they win a game? No, now they've lost 3. They won all those games in a row, and they've only needed to win 1 more. Now they've lost 3 in a row. They got 94 points. There's Calgary with 92 points in a game in hand. Who do the Blues play? Blues play. They got 1 more game. They got Utah. They better win that game. So the Blues most can finish with 96 points. Flames can finish with 96. So so if the Blues win, I think they got the tiebreaker there. Michael says Schmidt and Cooley is probably the best third line D line in the NHL. I would not disagree there. We're very lucky to have that going. I'm just scrolling down to the bottom to make sure I don't miss anything. Michael says we have Gusenek on the first line. The Giants, Jones and Mikula, and the old man are still useful. Schmidt and Cooley. By game 3, we're the best team in the playoffs. As long as everybody's healthy, and Bob stays on his game, and then Chucky, I can't wait to see what is he practicing today? Like, is he going to not practice and just show up for game 1? Hurricane says, do you think whoever wins the series behind – but I think whoever wins the series between Tampa and Florida wins the East. I would suspect yes. But, I mean, the Capitals could still – somebody's going to have to play them in the Eastern Conference Final, because unless Montreal actually does the thing and beats them, Caps win that series, and then the Caps are going to beat whoever wins out of New Jersey and Carolina, which is probably going to be Carolina. So whether or not they're going to be battle tested enough, they've got enough veteran guys. Washington could still be a problem, but if Florida comes into that rolling and healthy, we could, I believe, and Tampa for sure. Diedrich says, I just noticed the name Boquist doesn't have a U after the Q. Chucky's watching the stream right now. Fantastic. Blue Shirt says, I heard Gahan wasn't happy about how the Rangers treated him. I can't blame him. And that's part of the reason why teams want to go to certain, or players want to go to certain teams, right? The way guys get treated, that stuff, that word gets around the league. and then suddenly players don't want to go to those specific teams. Rangers probably won't have that specific problem, but it does mess with team chemistry for sure. Heather, you think you doubt Chucky's back for the first round? What Kevin Weeks said on ESPN was what he was told was that barring a setback, he's ready for game 1 first round. Now, Weeks has been known to be inaccurate from time to time, but that's really the only guy that's reported anything specific other than, I guess, Maurice was on the radio today saying Chucky's ready to go. But we also heard Chucky's ready to go before game 4 against Vegas, and he couldn't put his shirt on. So I don't even know what to believe, right? Like, even if he's out there on the ice, like, I just can't believe anything till we see how he's going to play. Hurricanes, you think Carolina will make the conference finals? Well, I hope for your sake your team wins a game this time, because that's rough, having lost that many conference finals games in a row. Yeah, the Panthers lose today. Tampa's got home ice, right? Michael says, how many teams in the playoffs have a first line as good as our third line? Lundell, Luosterainen, Marchand. I mean, Tampa, Toronto, Washington. That's in the East. Tampa, Toronto. Well, Ottawa, maybe. Are you talking lines or are you talking about pairings? Talking about defensive pairings before. Kachuk says it's all about health and rest. The Panthers ran out of steam against Vegas and had no depth left by the Stanley Cup Finals. They learned that lesson. If Chucky is in, I don't think any other team wants to play the Panthers. We certainly got depth, right? Like, we can't find a spot for Rodriguez, so we got to throw him on the 4th line just to keep him on the ice. Kay says, I don't know. I feel like we may get a very unsuspected surprise this year. Detroit and Boston have both been eliminated for the first time since '67. What else? I wonder what else hasn't happened since then. Good one. I see what you did there. Trevor, the only way we finish second is if we win both our games. If the Panthers win both their games and Tampa only gets 1 point or loses in their final game. Because when the Panthers play the Lightning still play another game on the 17th against the Rangers. So if we beat Tampa in regulation, if we got to beat the Rangers, we got to beat Tampa, we got to get 4 points. And then if Tampa only gets 1 point out of that final game of the season, then we would be in second place. But if we finish tied, I believe Tampa has the tiebreaker. Yeah, I agree with you, the Emperor King. I don't think the Devils they're gonna have a hard time. The Canes can shut you down offensively as it is. He was Heather. He was supposed to start today. I think he was supposed to start today. I don't know if he has or not. I mean, look, I agree with you. I agree with you. Now, supposedly he's been doing other conditioning and things away from the team. I mean, I'm of the same mindset of like, how's a guy going to not play all that time and just be ready to go for playoff hockey after a couple of practices? But it's Chucky, He'll do crazy things. We already know this. at this point, based on his history alone, I'd be surprised if he wasn't out there in game one. Even if he's got like a girdle holding his freaking legs together, he'll go out there and try to play. Michael, yeah, in terms of Schmidt, Kulikov, no, we're stacked that way for sure. No disagreement. Right, and Lucic was also in the playoffs last year too. I don't think so, Eric. I don't. He's saying he thinks Tampa and the Panthers go all war before the playoffs. I don't think so. I don't get that sense. I think the Panthers realize health is far more important than home ice, especially when you're playing Tampa and it's such a short trip. Yep, good point, David. Yeah, the playoffs may as well be a different sport, right? Glenn says the Panthers will squeeze the Lightning like a python over 5 games. Here's Frank. If Jesse Puljujarvi has a good game today, I'm taking him over Boqvist in the playoffs. Boqvist isn't even on the ice anyway, Frank. I agree with you, by the way. But if Chucky's in, they got to get in line. If Chucky's in and Marchand's on the third line with Lundell and Lucic, the fourth line already is like Sturm, Greer, and Boqvist. Or excuse me, Sturm, Greer, and Rodriguez. So Boqvist would already be off the ice. Puljujarvi be off. Gadjevich would be off. I mean, we got depth for miles, but I agree with you, Frank. I like that kid. Yeah, I'm not too worried about Dietrich. I'm not too worried about the home ice. I agree. And I says, why do all the Tkachuk's injuries turn into mystery theater? It's a really good question. I don't know if it's some kind of mind game to make other teams think they're hurt less than they are or more than they are. Probably traced to their dad, you know what I mean? Trying to play some kind of mind game. And I agree, Sir Foss. He very easily could go 7 games. Blue Shirt says Laviolette isn't good with young players. He's scratched Perot. So I know. You know what's interesting about that is that was the reputation Maurice had when he came here with us, and like he's been willing to give young guys a bit of a chance. I mean, I'm still shocked. I know that Samoskevich has kind of made it so Maurice didn't have a choice, but he let Samoskevich move himself up the lineup. He put him on the first power play unit a while ago and hasn't taken him off. And that's new for Maurice. That was one thing we were warned about when we got him, was exactly that he would scratch these kids. He only scratched Samoskevich 1 game. It might have been a load management type of thing, and he's getting scratched tonight, but he's earned a night off. Trey says, you all ready for a Bolts-Avs rematch because it's going to be a Bolts-Avs rematch? Somebody ban Trey. Hey, yeah, Bennett is playing tonight. Yep. Exactly, Michael. Rodriguez was the star player of the finals. He's on the 4th line. And it could be argued that it's arguable that you put him on the 4th line. Like, there's other guys that might get a chance too. Unless you're going to go like Sturm with Boqvist and Rodriguez and take Greer off the ice too. And I'd rather have Greer out there than Boqvist. I don't like that extension that we gave Boqvist now. That's an expensive guy to just stop scoring since January 25th. Like we could have just, not extended Boquist and let Sordiff come up next year. Boquist is going to be an expensive scratch next season. David, you say you're kind of concerned about Carolina. Brind'Amour is a great coach and they will want revenge. I mean, it's a few years removed from that. I don't think Carolina going to want to get swept again. I just don't know if they have the offense to pull off an Eastern Conference final to win a whole 4 out of 7. Dietrich, yeah, he was a first-round draft pick. He was Zito. He was a Zito pick a few years back, and he played in the AHL. And then, yeah, he's our dude. Trey says they can't ban me. My wrench is bigger than theirs. Where's Dana? She's got the biggest wrench. Huh? I'll have a girl ban you, Trey. How about that? Michael says, if you see the 4th reunion, yeah, the reunion of the Nosek, Greer, Gadjevich line, we're trying to hurt the other team on purpose. Yeah, no doubt. No, we got so many guys. We've got like almost 3 fourth lines now when you count Puljujarvi. I mean, it's just crazy the amount of depth that we have. And, same thing with Megna. At least we know we've got a guy that you can pop in if somebody gets injured. That's solid, right? Solid veteran guy. All that time I spent thinking we needed to pick one guy up, we kind of had him. And even Maurice said that. He said he wasn't on our radar. So, Lily Jack, just email me at flyingfluffyhockey@gmail.com. The email is flyingfluffyhockey@gmail.com if you have something you want to send that way. Mike, yeah, we almost have 2 full rosters, right? Only 1 like. Is that right? That can't be possible. Yeah, hit the stream. Thank you, David. Come on now. Chris says, I feel like tonight could be a trap. I want a victory. If we'll know really early on if they want second place or not. A lot of things have to go right for us to get that home ice. And I just kind of feel like the fact that we're already playing with house money, we already got the cup. I'm not too worried about home ice. Craig says, Jesse, a third line guy next season adds to E2 and Lundy. Yeah, I mean, that could happen. I think that's the idea they had when they signed him. I'd rather see Sordiff on that line, to be honest with you, with how Boquist has been the last several months. Like, we already got enough goal-scoring problems on that line. You know what I mean? Luosterainen is not exactly Ovechkin. And Lundell on that third line, he doesn't really, look at the difference with Marchand, I guess is what I'm saying. I don't think Boquist isn't going to bring what Marchand brings. So, I don't know. I think it was a bit of a rush to extend him, considering how tight we are cap-wise. Like, they could have just brought in Sordiff. It kind of blocks Sordiff, just my opinion. Now that we've seen Samoskevich come in and earn his way up, I'd like to see what Sordiff can do. That's where I kind of thought we'd put him, but I don't know. You never know, right? He doesn't have a no move clause. Verhaeghe and Boquist for Sid could come next year, right? Right, Trey? Jesse adds the hitting. True. I'm not saying he's bad. It's just that third line. Every year, what do we do with Lundell and Luosterainen? Right? We go get somebody that can put the puck in the back of the net. Right? So I would suspect that might end up happening again next year. Well, Eric, I would hope that the Panthers split. The Panthers need to split those first 2 games. Yeah, I agree, Jason. We could flip Boquist after the season, no doubt. We'll see. Maybe if I keep bitching about it. Harogan says Boquist must add more than we see for the players to vote him team MVP. Yeah. It's an interesting interesting dynamic. He won't be on the ice in the playoffs, I would assume. Trey, no. All right, that's it. Now I'm banning Trey. That's it. Dave says, imagine if we're scoring and Chucky came back, right? I mean, we have a potential of a hell of a fourth line. I'd like to see Sturm. I feel like Sturm can add more than he's been. How's his face-off percentage? Because it wasn't fantastic. Oh, I don't want that. This would be the last thing, and I got to get ready to go because I got to do my eBay pack and ship. Since Sturm got here with us, his face-off percentage is 47.4. It was 62% when we picked him up for San Jose. And now it's 47.4. He had 7 goals and 6 assists in 47 games with a 62.7 face-off percentage. With us, he's got no goals and 1 assist in 13 games and a 47.4 face-off percentage. Now, I'm no mathematician. But Sturm, that's not better. All right, Michael, you're going to go do 100 push-ups for your YouTube channel. Do 100 for me, man. My back is killing me today. Sidney Crosby for 2C and quarterback 2. All right, I won't ban you for that one. Trey. Yeah, Sturm and Nosek will be flip-flopped. It's just we got Sturm because Nosek, we wanted to improve in the face-off circle. And for whatever reason, since Sturm got here, he's been really bad in the face-off circle. I don't know why, and this is a question, but I don't know why changing teams would suddenly make you 15 percentage points worse in the face-off circle. I get if you're not scoring goals and the offense and the system is different and all of that. I get that. Hey, True. Jay says he made $1 million throw on McAfee. It was a pretty good toss, too. Looked about 30 yards. Talking about Sturm? Or are you talking about Sidney Crosby? Why would Sturm be on McAfee? AJC. Oh, geez. By switching to not paying for right? Jason says different face-off styles between the East and West. Huh. That's a good point, Jason, because he'd been with San Jose for a few years and he was kind of maybe used to the guys that he was going up against. Right? That's a good point, Jason. Absolutely. And Coop says, who's on your wing that makes the difference? Yeah, that's another good point. Yeah, I didn't think about it that way. A lot more finesse in the West. Jay says, East has a lot more physicality. Yeah, I hadn't thought about that. That's why I asked these questions. Yeah. And teams played a cup winner tougher. That's true. Yeah, no, that's a big drop, but that makes sense. Yep. Playoffs should start Saturday. Chasey says, I miss Florida, having to get the car registered in Texas and your Jeep won't pass inspection. Oh, geez. Jeez, that sucks. They still have the inspections there? What a waste of money that was. True, yeah. I think Pulviari will get signed. I don't know what kind of deal it'll be. I don't know if it'll be a two-way. Well, I guess we did. What'd we give him? I think it would have just been a one year, right? Because we got him off waivers. So we wouldn't have had to sign him. He's just playing on a 1 year, $775, right? So that's what he's on right now. So he could be a bargain for next year for sure. All right, everybody, I got to roll. Got eBay pack and ship to do. Kyle is still asleep. So I got to go wake the kid up. 1 o'clock, he's still asleep. All right. Appreciate all the support. Thank you all. Like I said, there'll be no members podcast out today because I spent this morning finishing up my taxes. And that was evil. Somehow I'm broken in debt but still owe the government money. It sucks. We'll be live tonight. We'll see you tonight. I guess the game is at 7, right? I would expect that. It's a home game. Yeah, 7 o'clock. All right, everybody. Appreciate it. We'll see you tonight.